When you're chatting with a girl, how often does she make an insignificant issue into a major one, and in the most inappropriate way possible? You have just been put to the test if this has occurred to you. A male who doesn't understand the scenario will react negatively, becoming resentful and angry with the girls involved. Nevertheless, the man who truly grasps the reasons girls test men and how to deal with them will ultimately succeed, not only in relationships but in life as a whole. As men, we must realize that life is a continuous barrage of challenges that can strike at any moment and from any direction. Life doesn't always shower us with riches, yet the more trials we conquer, the more rewards we'll reap. What you need to know first and foremost is why girls test you. You will become resentful and give up on girls when you fail to comprehend their genuine motivations. Just over a week ago, I uploaded a video to YouTube that purports to teach viewers how to fool other men into thinking you're more confident than you actually are. Now, some men mistakenly believe that only women test them, but in reality, everyone around you will do so at some point. Every member of your social circle, from parents and friends to coworkers, and even your dog, will put you through your paces. As a man, one of your worst mistakes can be to believe that your mind has a miraculous blueprint for how the world should function. I hope that every film I upload here can show you the world as it actually is, rather than how you imagine it should be. You can choose to ignore or embrace the truth when it comes to human behavior and thought in social and personal contexts. The truth isn't always pleasant. Every challenge you face, whether from a girl or life itself, is actually a chance for growth. See this as an opportunity to fortify yourself and mature into the man God intended you to be. Some men think it's pointless to spend time with women who test them. All this is only a mirage. When you get down to brass tacks, every girl is hardwired to challenge your limits. Doing nothing when you want a girl to test you is like trying to stop the sun from rising. It will do what it was programmed to do. In the heart of each female who shows interest in you, the question of whether you're manly enough to love and lead her is paramount. Consider this: a masculine-feminine dynamic is necessary for the existence of long-lasting attraction between any two individuals. Can you explain this to me? What this really implies is that one person has to act like a male, and the other has to act like a lady. A girl's way of testing your leadership and love abilities is by putting you through a series of challenges. Every woman tests you in her own unique way, but it usually involves a minor argument over something insignificant. On the surface, you could be asking, how could she possibly be that mad over something so ridiculous? By applying your rational mind to the situation. It goes far deeper than that in reality. These tests take place on an unconscious level, and all men should be aware of this. Subconsciously, a girl will never tell you, "Hey, I'm testing your confidence to see if you're really the man that I'm attracted to." You'll never hear a girl say anything like that. This is how the test functions. It gives a female a chance to learn important things about you without you having to say a word. Just consider how easy it would be to tell a girl you're a good dad if she asked. You can deceitfully respond affirmatively if she were to inquire about your coping mechanisms for difficult life events. The core reason why girls test you is because they instinctively know this. The testing process makes it impossible for you to mislead about these questions while simultaneously giving the female the answers. Not only that, but she has to find out before, during, and after your relationship with her. These actions on her part are innately feminine, yet they serve a necessary purpose, assuring girls that the men they marry will provide for their family's safety. Knowing why girls test us is the first step in identifying the three kinds of guys that girls actively seek out and do their best to avoid. Here we have the first kind of men, the weak. This individual lacks any sort of moral compass, principles, or backbone. What we see here is the chameleon, the easygoing type. A girl has no faith in him to defend her when he is unable to do the same for himself. Being unable to defend oneself is the defining characteristic of the weak guy. Second, there's the man who has no idea what he wants out of life. be it romantic partners or anything else. This man has no confidence in himself and is unable to act independently. Finally, there's the evil guy, the third sort of male that women look out for and try to avoid. The majority of the women he dates have one unsavory objective in mind, and that man has just one. This man is the worst of the three. Relationships involving him nearly always end in disaster, and you might even catch wind of their story in the news. Girls will put you through your paces at first to make sure you're not one of those guys, and they'll keep doing it even after they're in a relationship with you. Knowing why girls test you is half the battle. The other half is understanding how they do it. To tell you the truth, every female is unique, and with that comes her own set of challenges. It is more beneficial to simply acquire a sense of it rather than concentrating on simple examples. You will improve your ability to handle tests efficiently as you hone your intuition for detecting them. Beating yourself up while taking an exam is the worst possible decision you can make. The common belief among men is that they are physically capable. I refuse to participate in her antics or take these exams. What they fail to grasp, however, is that the examinations take place unconsciously. Okay, Bob just failed the test. That's what us guys say when someone doesn't pass an exam. While it's not the same for girls. Rather than rationally processing the news, they instinctively experience the fallout when a guy does poorly on an exam. Consider the following scenario. You are on an island, and your only means of subsistence are the fish traps you have set. If the traps don't start producing fish, it's reasonable to assume that you won't last much longer as a man when you check them and don't see any. Failing a girl's test is like searching the nets and not finding any fish. The girl doesn't rationally reason, darn, he failed the tests, so we're not going to survive, but she has an innate sense that she will perish if she keeps checking the traps and never finds any fish. You probably already know what happens when a man fails these tests. A girl loses respect for him, which makes her lose interest in him, which makes her completely uninterested in him. The most typical method that girls employ is known as a congruence test, and its essence is to determine whether your outward appearance matches your inner self. This evaluation could be verbal or nonverbal at times. Some girls will use subtle taunting or unintentional compliments to test your limits. Some people will insult you directly to test your reaction. Men who lack self-assurance, faith in themselves, or strong moral convictions will find congruence exams particularly challenging. Now, a compliance test is the second main kind of test that girls use. In this test, the girl tries to determine how much she can get away with before you tell her no. I think this test will be the most challenging for guys who value a woman's approval more than anything else. The more you give in to a girl's demands and let her walk all over you, whether they're little or big, the higher the likelihood that you'll flunk her compliance test. The way you should respond to a girl's test often appears to be the most foolish choice, logically speaking, from a man's perspective. When other men say things like, "I simply don't understand," this is a major contributing factor. Despite my best efforts, I couldn't satisfy her every need. To make matters more ironic, this is the exact opposite of the expected response from you. What are men to do when faced with such challenges? Keeping a strong masculine frame of mind is the greatest approach to tackle any challenge. Taking a position for what you believe in is incredibly admirable in a man. Sometimes, a female will intentionally hurt your feelings in order to test your limits until you finally stand up for yourself. The most difficult part of being tested by a female is actually knowing when you're being tested. Most men, especially the weakest ones, struggle with this and hence flunk every test because they are oblivious to what's happening. These men fail to grasp the complexities of the problem and fail to comprehend the source of their girlfriend's irrational anger. As trite as it may sound, being a man and knowing your tolerance limits are the most important factors in passing these exams once you've mastered their recognition. Forget about flaunting your strength and flaunting your chest around. That won't get you past any women tests. The crux of the matter is that men need to recognize their own limits and who they are. The important thing is to stand by your principles and not look for approval, because most people prefer to follow others rather than take the lead. Being true to yourself, establishing healthy boundaries, and fighting for your beliefs will earn you the wrath of many. However, this is the road that will get you through any challenge a girl throws at you, and it is fundamental to what it means to be a man. Also, another great YouTuber named Peter Beatty runs a channel called Peter Beatty's Garage, so make sure you give it a look if you're into automobiles, automotives, or even just love Lamborghinis. That concludes our show. We appreciate your viewing.